Group.
Welcome to the National Report on Scripps News. I'm Del Walters in Washington. Here's a look at some of the headlines we're following for you at this hour. Sad developments today in the rescue mission for those missing skiers caught in that avalanche in Northern California. Officials today saying that 8 of the 9 missing skiers have been found dead. They say they have notified the family of the remaining person that it is now also a recovery effort. Yesterday, the 15-person ski group was buried alive after a powerful storm ripped through the state. 6 people were located and rescued. 2 of them were hospitalized. The FDA now reviewing a new mRNA flu vaccine from Moderna. The agency had once refused to accept the application, citing concerns about how the vaccine was tested. Moderna saying the FDA didn't raise any concerns about safety or effectiveness. Moderna also saying that they later met with regulators and proposed a revised approval plan based on age. The company is now seeking full approval for adults 50 to 64 and accelerated approval for those 65 and older with an additional follow-up study. Democrats may be sweeping the new recent elections, but a new poll shows there could be trouble in paradise. Seems the party has an image problem. An AP NORC poll finding Democrats' favorability among their own voters hasn't recovered since Donald Trump won in 2024. The party's approval ratings plummeted after that election and are still low. The lack of enthusiasm, though, doesn't guarantee electoral losses, but it could be a long-term problem for the Democrats going ahead. Democrats say without Les Wexner, there would be no Jeffrey Epstein. He was supposedly #1 on Epstein's speed dial. Wexner spent the day being questioned by the House Oversight Committee at his home in Ohio. Les Wexner is the billionaire founder of Bath & Body Works and also the former CEO of Victoria's Secret. Scripps News senior national correspondent Alex Miller has been reporting on the Epstein case now for years. And Alex, what do we know so far from that deposition?
Well, Del, we know that the deposition has just wrapped a couple of minutes ago, and we are awaiting an update from what happened in the afternoon session. Now, I can tell you that lawmakers were frustrated during the morning's session with what they heard from Les Wexner. Now, this deposition, as you mentioned, took place in Ohio, where Les Wexner lives. Only Democratic members of Congress traveled there. There were also some GOP staffers, but no Republican members of Congress made that trip. Now, according to these Democratic lawmakers who spoke with the press during that lunch break, Wexner says that he does not remember many things that they asked him about. He is 88 years old, but he also was appearing to distance himself as a friend of Jeffrey Epstein. We know that he was essentially his #1 client. Epstein did not disclose any of his other clients aside from Les Wexner. They were trustees for each other, Epstein handling his children's money as well. Epstein donating to Wexner's family foundation. And so there is this bond that we have seen. I went through thousands of pages that mentioned Wexner, and you can tell that they worked together for many, many years. And according to Wexner, they haven't spoken since 2007, but there is an indication that that is not true. Now, there was a frustration, as I mentioned, from lawmakers. We heard from the top Democrat on the committee, Robert Garcia, saying essentially he's been tasked to do what Pam Bondi is not. Listen.
It's been clear to us, at least the way Mr. Wexner has presented this, that he, according to him, has not been was questioned by the FBI or the DOJ about Mr. Epstein. How outrageous is that? He's someone that's been named by survivors, someone that's in the files more than most people, someone that's clearly the financial benefactor to Jeffrey Epstein and has not been contacted or interviewed by the FBI or the DOJ? Yeah. What the hell is going on?
Wexner is obviously all over these files, and while he said that he wasn't very good friends with Jeffrey Epstein, according to these lawmakers, he did say that he traveled to Epstein's properties, including Epstein Island.
And Alex, you just got off the phone with Maria Farmer's attorney. She is directly connected to Wexner and named in the files. What did she tell you?
Yeah, Maria Farmer says that she was not assaulted by Les Wexner, but that she was assaulted by Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell at Les Wexner's home. She was spending the summer there as an artist in residence, and she said that that these assaults took place there and that she told multiple people on the property, including, according to her attorney, potentially Les Wexner's wife, Abigail. So there's this theory there that, of course, Wexner had to have known about this abuse. Now, I asked her attorney, Jennifer Freeman, how Maria Farmer feels about Wexner finally being questioned. Listen to what she told me.
I think she is very, she's pleased to see that's finally happening. It's not good that it's happening behind closed doors. And it's not good that they didn't consult with Maria or me or anyone related to this story, any of the survivors that I know of, about Wexner. So how can you really prepare for this kind of a deposition without talking to the survivors? But they're trying to get to the truth, and I appreciate that very much, as does Maria. But in order to do that, it's good to talk to the people who made allegations.
And one thing Congressman Garcia said during the lunch break was that they were going to ask him about the girl who wasn't allowed to leave. That girl is Maria Farmer, and that is something her attorney told me that she wanted to know as well if this was asked about. We are working to find out whether this was indeed requested, if there was information requested from Les Wexner about this. One other interesting anecdote that her attorney told me is that Maria Farmer was required to obtain a driver's license in the state of Ohio and used Les Wexner's address, and that was part of the agreement that she had in order to be able to have her artist in residence there, that she was going to pick up Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell whenever it was needed from the airport, and that is exactly what she did. So there are questions about that. There are also questions about this book that Maria Farmer says that she found that was supposed to be specifically about Victoria's Secret models, but Maria Farmer testified and says that she found child pornography in this. Now, her attorney is essentially saying that if they had just listened to Maria Farmer in 1996, she was the very first person to report this to the FBI, to follow up with the FBI. They had just investigated even the child pornography charge. We might not have seen more than 1,000 people reportedly abused by Jeffrey Epstein.
That was 30 years ago. Scripps News senior national correspondent Alex Miller, live for us in New York. Alex, as always, we thank you very much. One of President Trump's most loyal and trusted allies is hopping mad. Senator Lindsey Graham was seen cursing up a storm during a meeting with the Danish delegation over the weekend. Sources tell Scripps News that Graham is frustrated, not just about Greenland, but because he continues to push for military action against Iran and, yes, Russia. His Russian sanctions bill still sits in the Senate. Scripps News senior congressional correspondent Nathaniel Reed is working his sources to find out more about Graham's outburst. You say it was profanity-laden. The president, though, backing off his threat to purchase Greenland for now. Where is all of this coming from?
Well, what's interesting, this is not the first time that this has been reported. This was first reported by Puck News, but multiple sources can confirm to me that this happened, that Senator Graham was extremely frustrated, used a lot of profanity that we cannot use on television here to describe how he was feeling and in the moment. A lot of that, some of it directed reportedly toward the Prime Minister of Denmark, Mette Frederiksen. The real question here is where was that anger coming from? Now, according to a source who is in the room and other people familiar with the senator and his thinking in recent weeks and months and what he said, is that this frustration is not necessarily directed at Greenland and Denmark, but much more so at Russia and Iran, more specifically at President Trump and at the White House for not acting as swiftly as Graham has hoped on Russia and Iran. Now, Senator Graham, about a year ago now, introduced this Russian sanctions bill. It had about 50 co-sponsors. The goal here was to try and put these punishing sanctions both on Vladimir Putin and also on Russia itself to try and end the war in Ukraine. The reality is there have been a whole lot of fits and starts there. The Trump administration has not, explicitly endorsed the bill, constantly gone back and forth on it. There's been the question of whether the president wants it to move forward. He's endorsed it in the past on Truth Social and then appeared to pull that endorsement back, rather hoping for some sort of diplomatic solution with Steve Witkoff or as part of these negotiations, which have been occurring on and off, both in the Middle East and then also, of course, in Russia itself with Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, and others. What we understand now from sources in that meeting and a U.S. senator who's familiar with Senator Graham's thinking is that there's a frustration here, a serious frustration from Senator Graham, which he took out, of course, on the Danes and other people in that meeting. In fact, one Democratic senator leaving that meeting, a source telling me and confirming Puck's reporting, Senator Alyssa Slotkin walking out of that meeting after Graham's outburst, again with words that we cannot say here on television. But what's interesting here is just this frustration, also frustration from Senator Graham that President Trump has not yet taken offensive action against Iran, something else that he has been pushing for. At this point, a spokesperson for Senator Graham calling any belief that or any assertion that Graham was frustrated or expressed frustration with the White House categorically false. That being said, the Russian sanctions bill still somewhat stalled. Senate Majority Leader John Thune has said that he told Graham he would put it up for a vote on the floor once it has the votes. Senator Graham reiterated that just this past weekend. But this new frustration which is developing between the president, or at least from one of President Trump's top allies on Capitol Hill, with President Trump for not taking these steps, that is what's new here. That is what we now understand had happened. And what's interesting here is a U.S. Senator telling me this is not the first time that Graham has expressed frustration with President Trump, with the Trump administration, for not taking these actions. Specifically, again, the sanctions bill, which President Trump has gone back and forth on greenlighting, and of course on action in Iran. We've seen a buildup of forces, but President Trump has not yet committed to taking military action there.
Yeah, the frustration by Lindsey Graham echoes the frustration of other senators on Capitol Hill. The date's almost all the way back to Helsinki, wondering why isn't this president more forceful with Russia than he is with Ukraine, for instance, telling Ukraine it's time to get something done, but not telling Vladimir Putin that. Is that the frustration that you heard about spilling out from Lindsey Graham?
The frustration, I understand, is mostly with the White House, or rather with President Trump. It's frustration that all of these things that Graham is possibly pushing behind the scenes, and you know, also somewhat publicly, he frequently posts on X saying that it's time for Russia sanctions, it's time for additional action against the Ayatollah, the supreme leader of Iran. At the same time, President Trump has not really heeded the call in either of those areas, preferring to try and take a diplomatic approach up to this point. Now, whether Graham is able to be persuasive and actually move the needle here, that remains an open question. But what's interesting here is not just this outburst from, of course, one of President Trump's top allies going to the Munich Security Conference and then kind of unleashing this expletive-laden tirade, which, by the way, he also continued publicly. He told a panel hosted by Politico, which aired on television, who gives a expletive about who owns Greenland. Again, a lot of this frustration, this source telling me, is actually frustration about these other areas, about the areas where President Trump is not moving. The fact that he has tried to take action against Greenland, said that he wanted to buy it, didn't rule out military force. He then doubled back on both of those areas. That, certainly frustrating, they believe, for Graham, because of the fact that it was a distraction. It was not exactly what Senator Graham wanted the Trump administration to be focusing on.
I would wager that NATO would be happy to hear about your report. Scripps News senior congressional correspondent Nathaniel Reed. Nate, as always, thank you very much.
Corruption is rampant in the Lone Star State.
Might as well have a little talk. I am not the law in this town.
The fastest gun in the West.
That's right.
Is a magnet for trouble.
Well, why'd you have to show up?
Want to get away with it? He ain't. You never learn, do you?
Rory Calhoun is the Texan.
Scared?
Thursdays
I think we better do everything we're going to do while it's still daylight.
on Grid Extra.
These are the clips we don't want you to miss. The wildest and wackiest video. From heart-stopping to heartwarming. If it's been caught on camera, we've got it here. Caught on Clips. Streaming on Scripps News.
So what do you have in store for me today?
The best man just got a little better.
Getting ready for my big fight.
Who are you about to get in the ring with, arthritis?
I think she's handling it really well.
That's quite an image.
Bounce XL has it all.
Show me something.
Well, did we think that we'd be in TV? Yes, we did. When we allow all of our voice to be heard, that's when we succeed the most.
America. Desperate times call for desperate measures, and I'm desperate to get at least one of these kids out of my house.
Family sticks together no matter what.
Bridging the gap, celebrating culture, and giving you what you came for.
You ready for showtime?
Show me something.
How prepared is your family if disaster shows up at your doorstep? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan before they show up. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking, let's go. You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes!
Make a plan today.
You know the drill.
We are gonna be there when it pops.
Okay, get to it.
Those guys, they're the best.
We'll get this guy.
Together, like we always do.
I think you'll be surprised what you're capable of.
Connecting focus.
Here we go.
This is gonna be fun.
Then let's get it on.
Kind of forgot how crazy things can get here.
I love this team.
It's on ION, wherever you watch.
You're watching Scripps News, part of the Scripps News Group.
We will get 2 new windows into how the economy is doing on Thursday. The Labor Department will issue the weekly unemployment claims. Analysts forecast a drop from last week, follows a slow downward trend. And then on Thursday afternoon, the Conference Board set to release the leading economic index. That is a comprehensive tool that helps predict economic health for the next several months. Is social media addictive? Depending on who you are, you might say yes or you might say no. But that's the question that is front and center inside the Los Angeles courtroom today. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg, being grilled today by lawyers, asked whether Meta's platforms, Instagram, Facebook, intentionally making them addictive to young people and then causing harm. Zuckerberg refused to say directly whether he thinks that is the case. The trial was brought by a 20-year-old plaintiff known as KGM. She says she used Instagram when she was young, became addicted, even suicidal. Other defendants are Google's YouTube, TikTok, and Snap have already settled. Dr. Daniel Bober is a child psychiatrist and addiction medicine physician. Doctor, thanks for being with us. What is the threshold, the burden to prove what is being alleged actually happened?
Well, listen, I think that's more of a legal question, but I think the problem is that the field itself is pretty unsettled about this. There are some that feel that social media directly causes harm through things like social comparison by idealized images, displaced activities like lack of sleep, lack of face-to-face interactions, cyberbullying, anxiety due to FOMO or fear of missing out. But then there are some that say that social media is bad for people who are particularly vulnerable, or social selection theory, those who are seeking connection because they feel lonely, trying to escape psychic pain, and who have heightened sensitivity to things like body image and have low self-esteem. So I think it's unsettled in the field whether social media actually causes mental illness, but I think at the end of the day, what we're looking at is a bi-directional relationship, meaning that people who use it excessively probably do suffer some mental health harm, and that those who already have pre-existing mental illness are particularly vulnerable to its effects. But I do think there is a comparison here with the tobacco industry, because social media does have certain aspects of addiction that you would find in substances like cocaine, like tolerance, like withdrawal, a functional impairment. But then there are some people that say that what the actual withdrawal is that FOMO, or that anxiety over missing out on things. So I think it's not really settled in the field, but what I can say pretty firmly is that excessive social media use is definitely a red flag for mental illness.
Dr. Bober, much of what we found out when the United States, for instance, did take on big tobacco is much of the damaging info has to come from inside the company. And if that is the case, is there, and I hate to use the phrase, a so-called smoking gun?
Well, certainly there have been Meta employees that have talked about the fact that they were targeting young people. I think it's pretty clear that there are digital algorithms that are in place to get kids to use it excessively, to engage them using variable reinforcement schedules, which is essentially a digital slot machine. So I think there's definitely a role that the social media companies play in this, and they have a vested interest to do so for their own financial gain.
I'm curious, based on your scientific research, what do you say to parents that say that this is simply a case of parents not telling their children to put the phone down?
So there is something to that, right? Because parents aren't using the parental controls, up to 70% of them. And parents themselves aren't always modeling the best behavior. You know, they're at the dinner table on their phones themselves, doing the infinite doom scrolling, hitting the likes, and their kids are witnessing this behavior and they are modeling it. So I think parents have to do a better job at policing their kids, at getting involved, trying to reduce their social media use. And I say 2 hours a day or less. Now, there are some disagreements. Some people say as little as 30 minutes. And the Surgeon General says no more than 3 hours, but I think a safe limit that I prefer is 2 hours.
But Dr. Bober, aren't there a lot of parents that are using the cell phone and laptops and tablets as babysitting devices because they like the fact that their children sit in the room quietly doom scrolling, I guess would be the safest way to put it?
It's true. I mean, that's, to me, lack of parenting. You know, there's a difference between active and passive engagement, right? Active engagement means you're on social media, you're on there for a reason, maybe you're trying to form social connections. And then passive use, which is what you talked about, which is the doom scrolling, the infinite scrolling, the likes, the social comparison, and just sort of sitting there, and it never ends. I think that is more associated with unhealthy use.
Is there a child or children that are more susceptible to being harmed by things like social media?
Yes, children who have pre-existing depression, children who may be eating disordered and have poor self-body image. These are kids that I would say are particularly more vulnerable and susceptible to the effects.
I was reading the Associated Press reviews of Zuckerberg's testimony today, saying that as of early afternoon, Zuckerberg has not directly answered the central question of the case, whether Instagram is addictive. In fact, they said he spent more time as if he had been coached on how he was to appear before this particular courtroom because they thought that his Capitol Hill testimony was stiff. Are they spending more time worried about how Mark Zuckerberg looks as opposed to whether or not we're actually talking about something that could harm our children?
I think that's true, but I think the other side of it is that there is some theater that's involved in this as well, right? Mark Zuckerberg, according to polls, is not a popular figure in the U.S., and so he has really become, in a lot of ways, the face of this issue. And so how he presents will sway public opinion, and he's already going into this. It's an uphill battle because he's not particularly liked, and I think a lot of people would tend to hold him responsible just based on the fact that he's not popular right now.
Dr. Bober, even if this case succeeds against Meta, are you concerned that our children still won't put their cell phones down, still won't get off things like Instagram and all the other social media tools that they're out there using that you believe are dangerous to our children?
Well, listen, I think parents have to take a role as well. It's what I said. These phones, I call it the bedroom rule. They should not be in the bedroom when the kids go to sleep at night. They should be in a separate room. There should be no phones at the dinner table. There should be a time limit. Whatever mechanisms they can come with, like shutting it off automatically, blocking them after a certain amount of time. There has to be some kind of a digital detox, if you will, because these devices are wired for engagement. They are variably reinforcing, and I do think that they are damaging to kids' mental health, particularly those who already have pre-existing vulnerabilities.
A final question before I let you go. Yes or no? Do you have any doubt that these social media apps are dangerous to our children?
I think they are dangerous, and I think we should listen to the Australians who I think put a ban, I believe, up until age 16 with parental consent or parental monitoring. I think the later that we can give our kids these devices, the better. And that may not be a popular thing to say, but I'm looking at it from a public health perspective.
Child psychiatrist and addiction medicine physician Dr. Daniel Bober. Dr. Bober, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks so much.
Coming soon to Court TV.
A Microsoft executive gunned down.
Now his ex and her new husband are charged with his murder.
Mountains of evidence.
17-year-old accused of murdering her mother and her stepfather.
A social media sensation, now a suspected killer.
Why do you have something against me?
Suzanne Morphew vanished without a trace.
Her husband, Barry, has been charged with her murder.
The high-stakes trials you don't want to miss. Coming soon, only on Court TV.
How prepared is your family if disaster shows up at your doorstep? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan before they show up. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes!
Make a plan today.
I wanted to be a reporter since I was 4 years old. I always knew that I wanted to tell stories. I feel really proud that I work at Scripps News. Our reporters get to delve into the topics that we care about and that we want to dig deeper into. There's a real investment in going where the stories are, giving people the full picture, reporting what is happening firsthand. Alex Miller, Scripps News, New York.
For live reports, breaking news, and headlines from across the country, stream Scripps News.
So what do you have in store for me today?
The best man just got a little better.
Getting ready for my big fight.
Who you about to get in the ring with, arthritis?
I think she's handling it really well.
That's quite an image.
You know the drill.
We are gonna be there when it pops.
Okay, get to it.
Those guys, they're the best.
We'll get this guy.
Together, like we always do. I think you'll be surprised what you're capable of. Connecting focus.
Here we go.
This is gonna be fun.
Then let's get it on.
I kind of forgot how crazy things can get here.
I love this team.
It's on ION, wherever you watch.
Corruption is rampant in the Lone Star State.
Might as well have a little talk.
I am not the law in this town.
The fastest gun in the West
That's right.
is a magnet for trouble.
Well, why'd you have to show up?
Wanna get away with it? He ain't.
You never learn, do you?
Rory Calhoun is the Texan.
Scared?
Thursdays
I think we better do everything we're gonna do while it's still daylight.
on Grid Extra.
A young patient gets the gift of life, a new heart. She's doing well after her heart transplant, but it requires regular medicines to keep her new heart functioning. Now, years later, she's having trouble with her insurance company covering the medications. Keith Barry Golick with our Scripps News Group in Cincinnati says it points to bigger problems inside the healthcare system.
It's like going through losing him again. It's just not right.
Turned out that I was in a congestive heart failure. The doctors basically told my parents, you need to start planning a funeral because I was in really bad shape.
So have you been here before?
Many times. Here we are-ish. I usually take a picture and then I send it to Mary. I was born with a congenital heart defect called Epstein's anomaly. This is my organ donor, Christian.
You literally have his heart.
Yep. I always wonder if he's proud of me. I hope Mary's proud of me. I don't want to let them down either.
At WCPO, we actually covered Peyton's heart transplant back in 2012.
I usually try to calm myself by closing my eyes and dreaming of myself at the beach.
That's the everolimus.
Peyton Harris needs this medication to survive. But recently, her insurance company said she wasn't covered anymore.
They said it wasn't medically necessary.
Seems like a big slap in the face.
That's when her donor's mom got involved.
You ready to go meet her?
I'm so scared.
My name's Maria Cutter. People call me Mary. I'm about to meet Peyton that has my son Christian Caruana's heart.
What kind of emotions are you feeling?
Happy and sad. Happy because she's doing really good, and sad because I lost my son. I've been crying all day.
Hi.
Give me a hug.
After months of fighting, Peyton's insurance company eventually approved her medication.
I got a big box of tissues. Come on.
But the price increased dramatically. It's why her new friend offered to pay for it.
Thank you. I just want her to be okay.
In Oakley.
For him and for her.
Keith Berry-Golick, Scripps News Group.
Bounce XL has it all.
Show me something.
Well, did we think that we'd be in TV? Yes, we did. When we allow all of our voices to be heard, that's when we succeed the most.
America, desperate times call for desperate measures, and I'm desperate to get at least one of these kids out of my house.
Family sticks together no matter what.
Bridging the gap, celebrating culture, and giving you what you came for.
You ready for showtime?
Show me something.
You know the drill.
We are gonna be there when it pops.
Okay, get to it.
Those guys, they're the best.
We'll get this guy.
Together, like we always do. I think you'll be surprised what you're capable of. Can I focus?
Here we go.
This is gonna be fun.
Then let's get it on.
Kind of forgot how crazy things can get here.
I love this team.
It's on ION, wherever you watch.
There is a constant flow of news, especially out of Washington, D.C., but also across the country. Gun violence, weather events, that's something that I need to be ready for every single day. And some days I might cover 2 or 3 different stories because that's what the needs of the day are. So every day is different, but it's part of what keeps this job interesting. Stephanie Liebergen, Scripps News.
For live reports, breaking news, and headlines from across the country, stream Scripps News.
So what do you have in store for me today?
The best man just got a little better.
Getting ready for my big fight.
Who are you about to get in the ring with, arthritis?
I think she's handling it really well.
That's quite an image.
Jesse Palmer. Emmett Smith? Both of us together? This must be some kind of TV fantasy.
Nope, it's reality. Tableau reality. Tableau lets you watch, pause, and record live TV subscription-free.
Pause you, Jesse. I'm here for 100+ channels. News, reality, movies, free live sports. Plus, it's game time.
Tableau. It's not fantasy, it's reality.
And a smart play.
Learn more at tableautv.com.
The MVP of TV.
More now on a Scripps News investigation. It involves one of those for-profit family immigration detention centers and a 2-month-old little boy. That baby wound up being rushed to the hospital. It happened at the Dilley Detention Center near San Antonio, Texas. That is a place where hundreds of children are being held with their parents who have been arrested by ICE. Scripps News investigative correspondent Patrick Terpstra joins us now. And Patrick, what can you tell us about this case involving a 2-month-old little boy?
Yeah, this is a case of a 2-month-old kid. His name is Juan Nicolas, just a baby. And he has been spending 3 weeks inside the Dilley Detention Center, along with his parents and baby sister. The Dilley Detention Center is a for-profit jail that is run by the Core Civic Company that has a contract with Immigration and Customs Enforcement. And according to Texas Congressman Joaquin Castro, this little boy, after arriving at the facility, got sick and had vomiting and respiratory distress, and actually at one point this week became unresponsive. The clinic that is on site there did not have a doctor, apparently, that was on hand. This, again, is according to Congressman Castro, because it was the very early morning hours, so they had to have an ambulance come and take the child, the baby, to the hospital where he was treated and released, then sent back to Dilley. Yesterday, this family had a court appearance in front of an immigration judge who said that they should be deported. And now we understand that yesterday the family was deported to Mexico, that being the father, mother, as well as the 2-month-old boy and his 16-month-old sister. But according to Congressman Castro, he says they were essentially abandoned at the border, only given back the $190 that they had to their name. And they were in this town in Mexico without even a telephone to be able to summon help. And the boy, the little baby at that point, still not doing particularly well. The reason this has been generating headlines is that Congressman Castro and others on Capitol Hill are pointing to this case and saying that people need to know that children are still being locked up. Yes, they are with their families, but they are still in detention, and they are being held far longer than just the 72 hours that court precedent has said that they should be allowed to actually be held in detention centers. So Congressman Castro sounding the alarm. Take a listen.
We've seen the violence of ICE on the street, but there's also a brutality of ICE behind closed walls in those prisons that everybody doesn't get to see, that only members of Congress and others have had a chance to see. And so I'm telling you, please, it's just as bad in there in a different way. Please speak up.
Now, the Department of Homeland Security has said that the medical care at these facilities is top-notch, saying that in many cases these detainees are getting some of the best medical care of their lives. And in this case, with the 2-month-old, they are actually blaming his mother for what has been going on. Take a look at this posting to social media earlier today. This is from the official Department of Homeland Security page saying, quote, "The mother chose to take her child into custody with her. The mother chose to enter and remain in the country illegally. The mother chose not to take $2,600 and a free flight home." DHS's point there is they've been telling anyone who is in the country as an immigrant that is unauthorized to, quote, self-deport, and that doing so can actually earn them $2,600. So saying that that's what the mother should have done here. She should have taken her family back to Mexico, even though, according to Congressman Joaquin Castro, they had credible fear for their lives in Mexico. So perhaps not so much an option for these folks. And it has become a bit of a back and forth on social media between people that are saying, well, you're still locking up kids, and DHS saying that no one gets detained unless they have made a choice to be detained. Dell essentially saying that people should be self-deporting.
A 9-month pregnant woman, they're asking basically to self-deport. With then later a 2-month-old child. I can't imagine any mother wanting to do either of those. But the administration says they're trying to keep the families together. They said that is their bottom line. So what alternative actually is there?
Well, the alternative that you'll hear a lot of advocates talking about is actually to have folks be essentially paroled, if you will, released back into their home communities. Think about Liam Ramos. That was a 5-year-old boy that had the bunny hat. His family allowed to be back into the Minneapolis area where they had been taken from. Their immigration case still playing out. They might actually be deported, but you don't have a situation where you have, in that case, a 5-year-old who is being held at Dilley. But also, you know, they have technology, these ankle monitoring abilities to make sure that people aren't actually fleeing and getting lost inside the system. So a lot of people saying that that is what ICE should be doing, relying on that technology to keep track of immigrants. But as you saw there from that Department of Homeland Security statement, they make no apologies for detaining children, and they will always point out, Dell, that unlike before in some previous years, the kids are at least with their parents, though they are in custody.
A 9-month pregnant woman, a 2-month-old baby boy, back from the hospital now in Mexico. Scripps News National Investigative Correspondent Patrick Terpstra. Patrick, as always, we thank you very much. President Trump's Board of Peace is set to meet for the first time tomorrow. But as the president seeks world peace, there still is much to do with the peace treaty he brokered between Israel and Hamas. Almost every day, Israel conducts strikes targeting militants. Civilians, including children, have died as a result. Hamas has not disarmed, which was a key provision for that treaty. But as these negotiations continue, a couple that survived the October 7th terrorist attacks in Israel is sharing a message of hope, talking about how they managed to survive more than a year in Hamas captivity. The couple telling Annette Gutierrez with our Scripps News Group in Tampa their fight is far from over.
I'm Annette Gutierrez in Sarasota, where the community here is going to be hearing from a couple who survived the Hamas attacks. Back in October of 2023, Aviva and Keith Siegel were taken from their homes, beaten, starved, and put into isolation. But today, they live to tell the story.
We touched death underneath the ground.
I sat down with Aviva and Keith Siegel, who tell me they were asleep on October 7, 2023, when more than a dozen armed men broke into their home in Israel. The couple ran to their safe room, but they say the gunmen dragged them out and forced them outside.
They pushed us through the window of our home.
They tore Aviva's meniscus in her knee, and my ribs were broken as they were pushing us through the window down to the ground. And then they shot at us on the way to the car.
They were eventually taken underground into a tunnel where they say they were held for days without food or water.
And I'll never forget, like after a couple of days, Keith like looked at me and said that he feels that he can't breathe. And I told him, just lie down and try and breathe. And that moment, I stopped looking at Keith. I was scared to see my husband dead in front of me.
How do you guys feel like you guys were able to survive such a horrific event in your lives?
Well, I want to say that the whole 51 days that I was there, I was just thinking, when am I going to die?
Aviva was held for 51 days, Keith for 484.
When you see somebody that you love suffer, it's terrible as a human being. We're really lucky to be sitting here alive and using our words to fight for others.
After finding freedom, they found purpose.
It's an amazing opportunity for me to be the voice of the voiceless.
Through an organization called Isra Aid, they began helping the people in Kakuma, a town in Kenya, Africa.
We went to a refugees camp of 300,000 people that are living there with nothing.
Now they're bringing their message to Sarasota.
To see the resilience that Keith and Aviva have and bring with them is absolutely phenomenal.
The Jewish Federation of Sarasota Manatee is hosting the couple Tuesday night at the Aura, where nearly 900 people are expected to attend.
It's sharing a message of hope and solidarity and responsibility and shared values, regardless of religion, race, or any other difference.
Annette Gutierrez, Scripps News Group.
I'm Joe St. George in Washington. Data centers are quickly becoming a major political issue, from your local city council to the halls of Congress. What might President Trump say next week in his State of the Union on this big issue? We go in depth next.
Corruption is rampant in the Lone Star State.
Might as well have a little talk. I am not the law in this town.
The fastest gun in the West.
That's right.
Is a magnet for trouble.
Well, why'd you have to show up?
Wanna get away with it, he ain't.
You never learn, do you?
Rory Calhoun is the Texan.
Scared?
Thursdays.
I think we better do everything we're gonna do while it's still daylight.
On Grid Extra.
I wanted to be a reporter since I was 4 years old. I always knew that I wanted to tell stories. I feel really proud that I work at Scripps News. Our reporters get to delve into the topics that we care about and that we want to dig deeper into. There's a real investment in going where the stories are, giving people the full picture, reporting what is happening firsthand.
Alex Miller, Scripps News, New York.
For live reports, breaking news, and headlines from across the country, stream Scripps News.
So what do you have in store for me today?
The best man just got a little better.
Getting ready for my big fight.
Who are you about to get in the ring with, arthritis?
I think she's handling it really well.
That's quite an image.
Coming soon to Court TV.
A Microsoft executive gunned down. Now his ex and her new husband are charged with his murder.
Mountains of evidence.
17-year-old accused of murdering her mother and her stepfather.
A social media sensation, now a suspected killer.
Why do you have something against me?
Suzanne Morphew vanished without a trace.
Her husband Barry has been charged with her murder.
The high-stakes trials you don't want to miss. Coming soon, only on Court TV.
You know the drill.
We are gonna be there when it pops.
Okay, get to it.
Those guys, they're the best.
We'll get this guy.
Together, like we always do. I think you'll be surprised what you're capable of. Can I focus? Here we go.
This is gonna be fun.
Then let's get it on.
Kind of forgot how crazy things can get here.
I love this team.
It's on ION, wherever you watch.
How prepared is your family if disaster shows up at your doorstep? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan before they show up. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes!
Make a plan today.
Major AI leaders are set to speak Thursday at the AI Impact Summit in New Delhi, India. Attendees will hear from OpenAI, Anthropic, and Meta, along with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and French President Emmanuel Macron. The goal is to come up with a roadmap for AI governance and collaboration around the world.
They are being built all over the country, from Kansas City to Metro Detroit, data centers. And as the Scripps News Group has reported, oftentimes when new projects are proposed, those who live nearby have questions and in some cases concerns that Washington is beginning to notice. They are hard to miss when they get built in your community, generating plenty of debate from those who live nearby.
I don't know that this facility will necessarily benefit me in any way.
Am I going to hear this hum all hours of the evening and night?
Do we have any idea what we're inviting here?
Data center concerns often involve property values, water needs, and electricity impacts. What's driving the data center boom and debate? Demand. Artificial intelligence is being used more often, but AI requires more servers and data centers to operate, and in turn more electricity. Bloomberg News analysis recently found utility costs have gone up 267% over a 5-year period in areas near data centers. Currently, there are over 4,100 active data centers in the United States.
Data centers in a community are a huge net benefit for a community.
Adam Kramer from Panattoni Development recently told Scripps News Detroit about the benefits of data centers, like high-paying construction jobs and how new tax dollars for local communities can be generated safely. But Washington is beginning to grow concerned about the impact data centers may be having on utility bills. It's prompted progressive Senator Bernie Sanders to call for a nationwide moratorium on building new data centers. Republican Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri and Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut have introduced a bipartisan bill to require data centers to have their own power sources.
They should not be taking electricity or water or any other utility from honest, hard-working ratepayers.
The White House, meanwhile, is slowly rolling out new data center policies, too. On Truth Social last month, President Trump said, "I never want Americans to pay higher electricity bills because of data centers," with White House advisors signaling in recent days that the Trump administration wants technology companies to pick up more of the costs. This topic is one likely to be brought up in President Trump's State of the Union address next week. New polling from Politico recently found 37% of respondents support new data centers in their community. 28% are opposed. 28% have yet to form an opinion. Joe St. George, Scripps News Group, Washington.
All in favor of approving the resolution, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
A simple voice vote from the TVA Board of Directors changed the fate of the Cumberland City coal plant in Stewart County. Once slated for closure, it will now stay open for the foreseeable future. A big reason why? Data centers to power artificial intelligence.
Data center demand climbed to 18% of our industrial load in 2025, and we're projecting data center demand to double in our region by 2030.
To put that in perspective, TVA told me over the summer, if you took all the current data centers in the Tennessee Valley, plus requests for new ones, it is the equivalent of powering 6 million homes. Currently, Tennessee gives pretty big tax incentives to data centers to come to Tennessee. But it begs the question, is that still a wise investment?
I think we're the only state at this point that is prepared and can handle XAI or the AI technology.
Tennessee House Speaker Cameron Sexton sees the state as a potential world leader when it comes to AI and quantum computing.
You put those together and we will be competing with China and other countries, not with states. And that's where we're trying to move to. It all starts with the energy that we have.
Is it still a wise investment for Tennessee to try to lure some of these AI centers to the area with, it requiring so much electricity to run?
Well, I would say one piece of legislation I have, well, before I get there, I don't want to make a statement saying for or against, but I do have a piece of legislation to bring some more transparency about the impact of data centers.
Tennessee Democrats say they need more transparency from AI companies to help them determine the right path forward.
There's certainly an economic value to the state of Tennessee for these data centers, and it's something that has to be weighed heavily against the impact on consumers and the environment and everyone's electric utility bills. So that is a real balancing act that the state and all of us are going to have a say in.
While Governor Bill Lee told reporters he wants to see more data centers create some of their own power, like XAI in Memphis and other locations.
What's important is that if we have a big user like a data center that proposes to come into this state, then they should have a plan that is not going to have a negative effect on the ratepayers and on the users of the grid in our state.
In other words, this debate is far from over. With photojournalist Tony Cook, Chris Davis.
Jesse Palmer. Emmett Smith? Both of us together? This must be some kind of TV fantasy.
Nope, it's reality. Tableau reality. Tableau lets you watch, pause, and record live TV subscription-free.
Pause you, Jesse. I'm here for 100+ channels. News, reality, movies, free live sports. Plus, it's game time.
Tableau. It's not fantasy, it's reality.
And a smart play.
Learn more at tableautv.com.
The MVP of TV.
Covering the White House, you are in the center of where everything is happening in our government. There are really important issues happening in our country right now. People have questions about where the economy is headed, immigration policies, how the U.S. is handling global conflicts. My job is to bring meaningful answers and ask critical questions that impact everyday lives for our viewers. Haley Bull, Scripps News.
For live reports, breaking news, and headlines from across the country, stream Scripps News.
Bounce XL has it all.
Show me something.
Well, did we think that we'd be in TV? Yes, we did. When we allow all of our voice to be heard, that's when we succeed the most.
America, desperate times call for desperate measures, and I'm desperate to get at least one of these kids out of my house.
Family sticks together no matter what.
Bridging the gap, celebrating culture, and giving you what you came for.
You ready for showtime?
Show me something.
Coming soon to Court TV.
A Microsoft executive gunned down. Now his ex and her new husband are charged with his murder.
Mountains of evidence. 17-year-old accused of murdering her mother and her stepfather.
A social media sensation, now a suspected killer.
Why do you have something against me?
Suzanne Morphew vanished without a trace.
Her husband Barry has been charged with her murder.
The high-stakes trials you don't want to miss. Coming soon, only on Court TV.
How prepared is your family if disaster shows up at your doorstep? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan before they show up. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes!
Make a plan today.
Corruption is rampant in the Lone Star State.
Might as well have a little talk.
I am not the law in this town.
The fastest gun in the West.
That's right.
Is a magnet for trouble.
Now, why'd you have to show up?
Wanna get away with it? He ain't.
You never learn, do you?
Rory Calhoun is the Texan.
Scared?
Thursdays.
I think we better do everything we're gonna do while it's still daylight.
On Grid Extra.
The American Legion is finding a new way to connect with veterans who are struggling. It's created an online gaming community through the digital platform Discord. Scripps News Group Sierra Williams shows us how the platform meets veterans where they are and provides help for those facing mental health challenges.
Many veterans have a hard time transitioning out of the military to civilian life.
It was a little bit difficult because you're in this
environment where you know everything you're doing every day.
When Anthony Potter retired after 8 years of being an Army medic, he felt like he had lost his sense of community.
Because you're with these people every day that you would give everything for, and they would give everything for you, but then you go back and that's not the same for everybody you meet.
Dark thoughts came.
There was a point in my career where I was on a bridge and right there about to jump off, but thankfully there was a random Korean gentleman who started yelling at me in Hangul, and that changed my trajectory in my life.
Knowing he needed an outlet, he turned to gaming and quickly fell into American Legion gaming.
And then I found American Legion Gaming because I met a few really nice people and they had this tag on their name that said ALG.
American Legion Gaming, also known as ALG, is a digital community platform on Discord that is growing. 10,000 veterans come to this server to not only play, but talk, share resources, and even find that sense of camaraderie again.
I use it to kind of reach out to other veterans and to let people know that they're not alone, because that sense of community and being able to reach out and know people are there, it's really everything.
American Legion Post 175 in Severna Park is one of many using ALG to reach veterans.
One of the things that we're trying to do is obviously connect where they are. And so if veterans at home playing a video game, we can connect with them, we might be able to bring them in. And when we bring them in, they can get that physical sense of community as opposed to just sticking to just virtual.
Clay Adams, the Maryland chairperson for ALG, who is also active duty in the Navy, says this is their opportunity to meet veterans where they are.
So we know that a lot of veterans and active duty self-isolate. That could be for a plethora of reasons. It could be post-traumatic stress. It could be just they move to a new duty station. And so we know that, unfortunately, when they self-isolate, they self-delete. And so we're just trying to make sure we get a hold of them.
He also tells me that veterans sometimes have a hard time seeking help on their own, and ALG provides the platform to find help, even if the veteran doesn't notice it.
There's been plenty of studies that show that a person will tell their deepest, darkest secret to someone on the internet before they tell their spouse or their best friend. And a lot of that is for fear of rejection or judgment.
Clay says he's hoping more American Legion posts bring on ALG. And as for Anthony, he's now an ambassador. He's gone from a medic to a mental health advocate. His goal is to let other veterans know they're not alone.
Come and check us out. I'm always there. My little tagline is Doc is always one call away.
Sayre Williams, Scripps News Group, Baltimore.